After 25 years of LEGO Star Wars, I had never purchased a set for myself. I had purchased some for my kids. I even received one as a gift from a family member, but nothing for myself. And I always thought it would be a set from the original trilogy. As you can see before me, it's actually from The Mandalorian, and it's the Grogu and Hover Pram set that was released this month. Now, there's a reason why this is my first. I'm going to explain a little bit later on, and it has to do with why I believe this set represents the very best of what LEGO has to offer in 2025. So in this review, I'll explain why. Set 75403, Grogu and Hover Pram, is selling for $100 US. It comes in an identically sized box as the new Blacktron Renegade, but is a bit smaller than the box from the $100 Galaxy Explorer back in 2022. The box displays Grogu and his pram on the front, while the back demonstrates his posability. There are 11 numbered bags, 2 instruction manuals, and a sheet with 6 stickers. Importantly, his eyes are printed. One of the manuals contains instructions for building Grogu, the Navarro Nummies, and the Sorgan Frog, while the other instructions for the pram and display stand. In building this with my youngest daughter, Autumn, it took us a little bit over 2 hours on our live stream, which was a really nice pace for a set of this size. For a 10+ set, this had a lot of interesting building techniques and nice parts usage throughout. Let's go ahead and start with the pram. The pram incorporates myriad brackets and modified bricks that lead to a number of snot techniques. For instance, there are nearly a dozen brackets on each side on which you attach some curved bricks, plates, and tiles to contour the long sides. On the front and back, the techniques are similar, just modified to fit the allotted space. Again, various bricks, plates, and tiles are attached to round out those sides. And the front has a sticker to show off the buttons, which is pretty spot on to the source material. I also really enjoyed the technique for these corner panels here that fold up into the pram to reduce gappage. And that's an important part that I'll talk about in a little bit. Another fun technique is using clips along the side to assemble the rim of the pram, which is an effective way to change up the texture. The hinges of the pram lid require 4 of the 6 stickers, which help create its actual look from the show. One other nice technique is the use of curved plates in the back to help establish the angle for this section, although I don't particularly care for the blaze striping and black plates sandwiched between them. They don't look sharp and, as best as I can tell, don't accurately represent the source material. The pram is not closable, as the top is composed of these large round panels we've seen from some space sets, as well as the Friends Botanical Gardens. So the pram is nicely constructed, but what about the star of the show? Grogu is built in a similar way as other buildable creatures, such as the buildable Hermione and Harry from 2021 and various creator animals. Basically, you start with a core that includes snot bricks and brackets, and then you add some contouring to the outside. This is largely accomplished by combining plates with some bow slopes, tiles, and angled bricks. The end result is a nice depiction of Grogu's robes. Interestingly, there are some gears that are very evident on his back. Now, these allow you to move his arms up and down, although not side to side, and they do look a little bit awkward. You don't actually have to move the gears in order to move his arms, but I do understand why they put them there. It's not too big of a distraction in the end, as you don't see him from the front or when Grogu is placed in the pram, and it definitely guarantees some element of playability. As we were building Grogu, we noticed you place a green heart tile inside of him, as well as his internal core being built partially from azure colors that are found in the Navarro Nummies. Also, pink plates are used inside his head to, I'm guessing, represent his brain. These small details are part of what makes building LEGO sets so fascinating and so much fun. The display plaque is a straightforward build using hinge plates to hold the printed plaque. Now, I'm glad LEGO started printing these plaques, as it looks and is a premium product, and there are no sprue marks on the front of this plaque. The frog uses the last sticker that is placed on a bow slope to represent its back, and the Navarro Nummies are just 2 azure pieces placed together. As always for my reviews, I'll try to break this down in terms of the display value as well as the cost. In terms of display, this is a very strong offering. First, it's pretty substantive, but not too large. This means it can fit nicely on end tables, billy shelves, other bookshelves, or something else that you want to display it on. You have multiple options for displaying as well. You can put Grogu inside the pram or outside. When in the pram, you can turn him upside down and he'll stay in, which is a comforting fact that you don't have to worry about him falling out too much if you secure him accordingly while you're playing with him, as my daughter loves to do. One hesitation I had when deciding to buy this set focused on the potential gaps in the pram. Building rounded objects out of Lego is difficult because of the shape and angles of the various pieces and how they may translate the gaps. As I mentioned earlier, the panels here that fold up into the corners are really nicely done. They're solid and they minimize the amount of gappage that there is. There is a little bit, so it's not perfect, but I was pretty impressed with how this came together and how it looks. Then there's the star of the show, who is reasonably poseable and downright adorable. My 11-year-old who loves Grogu also loves this set because you can move his ears up and down, turn his head, and move his arms. The details of Grogu's face are also impressive. His eyes are printed on black boat studs, and you'll notice there's this dark brown crescent printing on it that adds life to his eyes. Also, the contouring on his face is rounded enough to really depict the source material, and I like how they use the 1x2 rounded tile for his mouth and the hinge plate for his nose. Now, some people may not like the 1x2 round tiles underneath his eyes, but my daughter really thought that made him adorable, as with the wedges on top of his head to give him more contouring there. One fair critique is that Grogu is not perfectly scaled to the pram like he is in the show, in which he is deeper in the pram than he is here, and his ears extend beyond the width of the pram lid. So it's not a perfect representation of the Grogu and Hover Pram. In terms of cost, this represents a solid value. For $100 US, you get 1,048 pieces and this Grogu minifig. There are a couple of larger pieces as well, some printed pieces which can add to the cost. And in terms of Star Wars sets, this really is a steal of a deal, although it's not as good as the Blacktron Renegade, which has more minifigs and some more pieces for the same price, or even the Galaxy Explorer, which I recently built, which has even more pieces than that, and yet more minifigs, 4 total minifigs for the $100 price tag. But knowing that Star Wars exaggerates its price oftentimes due to minifigs and what we call the Star Wars tax, this does represent an actually sane value for something from the line, and I was pretty pleased with what we got out of this set for that price. Do I wish that Din Djarin was included in this set? Yeah, I do. I think if you look at the plaque, he's listed as Grogu's main associate. We know that where one goes, the other goes. They really do have a great relationship, and I know many Star Wars fans probably have a Mandalorian minifig, but not everybody will, and I think that's an important thing to include in this. So, slight disappointment there, but it's not going to ruin my review at all. I'll get to my final rating in just a moment, but I do want to explain why this is the first Star Wars set I purchased for myself. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I always thought it would be from the original trilogy. But here we are with Grogu and the Pram coming from The Mandalorian, and a big reason is not just the value, and not just what ended up being some fantastic building techniques, but also my kids love The Mandalorian. They love Grogu, especially my youngest, my 11-year-old daughter, Autumn, who, when she saw pictures of this, was really excited and wanted us to get this set. Now, I didn't buy this because of her. I actually think this could be a Toy of the Year candidate because of just the execution of the Pram and how adorable Grogu is. But it gave us an opportunity to spend quality time together, and we had a lot of fun building it. It was really a cool moment, and she was super excited about building this with me. She put it on her daily planner. For the Saturday we built it, we did a live build, and it was on there. She told some of her friends at school about the live build, and it was just a really cool opportunity to have that time with her. And I think that's what represents the best of Lego in terms of 2025 or any other year, right? It's parents being able to spend time with kids, having a challenging, interesting build that's entertaining, that has that quality time and opportunity to bond. I really think this represented that well. And so in terms of our ratings, Autumn wanted to make sure that I shared with you that she gives this a 10 out of 10. I think I would probably give it a 9 or 9.5 out of 10 because of the lack of Din Djarin minifig and just a couple of small issues here and there. But really, if I gave it a 9.5 or even a 9 and Autumn gives it a 10, that rounds us up to a 10 out of 10, which I think tells you just how good of a set this really is. I hope you enjoyed this review. You learned something about the Grogu and Pram set. Do you have any Star Wars sets from 2025? Which Star Wars sets are you excited for this year? Comment down below. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.